Well, the Trump administration is under fire following reports of inhumane conditions for children at one of its migrant detention centers. And it appears this morning that border officials may be on damage control. A number of children have now been transferred from that facility intact. Pardon me, Steve Niles here.
I'm sorry, I'll take over from there. Yeah, there's been some reports lately as well over the last week about the treatment of some migrant children in a detention facility on the U.S.-Texas border. It was about a week ago when we heard about 300 children in this facility. They were without access to private washrooms, inadequate food, water, sanitation. And you may have heard as well about some children not even have access to soup, toothbrushes, or toothpaste. Well, many of these children are no longer in that facility. That, according to the Office of Refugee Resettlement. They say 249 of the nearly 300 children in that facility are now into the shelter system. 30 children reportedly remaining there. Now, this shelter system is where they should have been all along. They say that this facility where they were, the kids were only supposed to be there for only about 72 hours. However, the Department of Homeland Security, which is in charge of these facilities, say that there's so many children that are crossing the border that there just hasn't been enough room in the shelters, which is why they say that these kids were in this camp longer than they should have been. They have asked Washington for billions of dollars in extra funding, which they say will help alleviate the problem. Of course, with these children who were there as long as they have, children as young as 8 years old being forced into work effectively to look after some of the younger children in that facility. Arthi?
All right, thank you for taking over there, Steve. So as you're mentioning here, there's more questions to be answered about what will happen to these children. But what about those who are still crossing the border?
It has always been dangerous for people to cross the border through the Texas and other states' wilderness. It continues to be as well. One story to illustrate from over the weekend, the bodies of what police believe to be a migrant woman and her 3 young children found Sunday just outside the Texas city of McAllen. It's near the edge of the Rio Grande River. Now, migrants dying on this voyage is unfortunately common. What makes this one unique, though, is that according to the local sheriff in that area, this is the first time that the bodies of infants and toddlers had been found on the American side of the border. And now, while this happened in the United States, and because it was on federal land, the federal government will be investigating, the FBI taking over. They put out a statement related to this situation, saying it is an incredibly heartbreaking situation, which seems to happen far too often. Because the bodies were located on federal land, the FBI will assume the lead in the investigation, but we will continue to coordinate with our law enforcement partners. Officials saying that there's no sign of foul play involved with this situation. No indication, though, where these people were from or what their identities are. To make it a situation even more dangerous through this rough terrain, are the temperatures in the region upwards of 40 degrees at points over the last week.
All right. Thank you for this, Steve.
You're welcome.